Can we just be real for a second? If you are clicking on this video and you're truly struggling with fatigue, all of that generic advice out there about sleeping more and cleaning up your diet and watching your caffeine intake, none of it is going to help. How do I know? I have struggled with fatigue for almost a decade. And after putting 2 chronic illnesses into remission, I can tell you I know a thing or two about fatigue. Now, if this is our first time hanging out, my name is Alandria. I'm a certified nutritional therapy practitioner, transformational health coach, and gut health specialist. And I am here to help you go deep in your healing journey and give you advice that actually works. So, for someone who has truly suffered from fatigue for many years, in today's video, I am going to share with you 3 things that will move the needle, and you don't have to change your diet. You don't have to change your coffee habits. You just have to be really honest with yourself and think, are these things something that I can improve on and work on? Because if you do, one of these 3 things is going to help you start reclaiming that energy. Now, nothing is going to be a panacea of energy. On our healing journey, especially when we're recovering from chronic illness, we are suffering with lack of sleep, lack of quality sleep, it's going to take time to start putting the pieces of the puzzle together. But my hope is that this video is going to give you some insight, some value to help you start to put the pieces of your puzzle together. So let's just get into it. The first thing that I want to address is something that I only saw 1 out of about 20 videos talking about, and that is information overload. You can call it mental exhaustion. You can even call it decision fatigue. These names already speak for themselves, right? Mental exhaustion, decision fatigue. It's like, Alandria, yeah, it's pretty obvious they make you tired. But what I don't think people understand is how much our information overload and our technology saturated lives are truly having on our health and our energy. So let me explain it in a simple way. Every time a new piece of information is given to us, we have to make a decision, or there's something that we need to contemplate or concentrate on. This process is like opening up a tab in your web browser. So you wake up, you think, what am I going to wear today? What am I going to have for breakfast? Then you start checking your email. Oh, maybe I need to take advantage of this sale that's going on right now. I have to respond to this email. I have to pay that bill, and on and on and on and on. So it just starts from the moment we wake up. This is also why having a morning routine is really important to get your brain focused, but that's actually not the tip that I want to expound upon. So from the moment we wake up, if this process goes unchecked, we are opening up endless tabs in our browser. And the problem with this is every time we open up a tab in our brain, this process has a chemical reaction. So every time we have a thought or we make a decision, our brain makes something called glutamate. It's a little chemical that keeps the neurons firing and talking to each other. And this is good. We want this to happen. But what happens when our brain is firing decisions and thoughts at a rate that we can't keep up with? The cleanup crew, these other little cells called astrocytes that help and clear out the glutamate, these little cells can't keep up with the amount of glutamate that's being created in the brain. And this is a problem because when we experience glutamate buildup, it signals to our brain that something's not right, it's not safe, and it starts to kind of slow down or power down. This is where we get foggy thinking. We can't come up with our words. We feel tired. We want to go for that second cup of coffee. And the reason this is really important is just because it's happening in your brain doesn't mean that your body is not feeling the repercussion. Anything that's happening in your brain is regulated by your nervous system, and your nervous system connects directly into your body. So when your brain is screaming, I'm tired, can we just take a break? It's telling your nervous system the same thing, which then translates into physical fatigue. I mean, the greatest example is I had to learn this new client software, and I spent a whole day watching tutorials and videos and setting up automations. And after 3 hours, I got up and I couldn't believe what a fog I was in. I was exhausted, and it was only like 1 o'clock. I didn't exercise. I hadn't done anything strenuous. All I did was focus really intently on learning a new skill, and I was exhausted. And the reason this is so important is because we spend a lot of time giving out our mental energy to things that are draining. And if we don't start to take inventory of what these things are, we're going to be struggling to get ahead of our energy curve for the rest of our lives. I don't know about you, but I don't want to do that. And I was kind of forced to do this in my personal life. So when I was in the middle of healing from mold illness, when I was really sick, I actually physically could not be on social media because of the mental overwhelm that it gave me. 3 years ago, I completely got off of social media. I was no longer posting for my business because the amount of overwhelm that I felt when I would open up the app totally drained what very, very little energy I had. So it was an easy decision for me to make. And I just share this with you, even if you're not dealing with chronic illness, the amount of time that we spend scrolling or thinking chronic thoughts of worry, anxiety, these things really, really have an impact. And there's so many amazing resources out there to help with this specific thing of overthinking or worrying. My goal of bringing this up is to bring this to your attention that this is a real cause of fatigue. So a couple things that I found to be really, really helpful with this are taking micro breaks throughout the day. Now, depending on what your day looks like, some things are going to be more doable than others. So obviously, if you can lay down like the Italians, my ancestors, they got it right. If you can lay down in the middle of the day at 1 or 2 o'clock and take a little siesta, that is ideal, right? But not a lot of us can do that. But what we can do is take micro breaks in our day that really help calm the nervous system and help give a little bit of time and space to our mental faculties. This is especially true if you run a household and you have children and there are so many things that you are juggling throughout the day, or you have a high stress job and you are on calls all day, you're checking emails all day. If you could just take, seriously, 5 minutes of no technology, of just you and your breath, walk outside, get some fresh air, go on a walk. This is going to be so, so beneficial for you. And I know this is advice that people say all the time, like, oh, take a 5-minute meditation break. But if you know why it's so important and you really want to get to the root cause of your fatigue and actually have energy throughout the day without relying on coffee, these are the little changes that are actually going to help. Okay, so take micro breaks, take a siesta if you can. If you can't, micro breaks, no phone. Go on a walk, no phone. Okay, I'm very serious about that. The second thing that you can do is front load your day with your hardest tasks. Again, this is a productivity hack that a lot of people talk about, but when it comes to fatigue, it's true. When we wake up in the morning, our brain is clear, it's fresh, it doesn't have all that glutamate buildup. So it's really going to be beneficial if you have a big creative project that you're working on, or a big email, or a hard conversation that you have to have. If you have that at the beginning of your day, you have the rest of the day to take the pressure off. So instead of taking on that big project at the end of the day when you already have all that glutamate buildup, you're really going to feel the drag of your energy when you go to do that big task. So front loading your day with your biggest tasks first. And then the last thing is to focus on quality sleep over quantity. Now, in all of those videos that I watched before making this one, the one thing that everybody said was get more sleep. And that's actually not what I'm saying. I'm saying focus on quality instead of quantity. So whatever amount of sleep you're getting now, you want to focus on the quality and making that sleep more restorative so that when you wake up, regardless of the hours that you have slept, you actually feel refreshed. And this leads us to the second point that I want to talk about today, which is circadian alignment. If you follow very, very simple advice to start to get your circadian rhythm into alignment, you will feel the difference. How do I know this? Because after working with client after client who have that exact complaint that even after 8 hours of sleep, they wake up and they're exhausted. Most of us are like, wow, 8 hours of sleep. But it doesn't matter if you're waking up and you're still feeling completely exhausted. And I start to have my clients implement these super simple things and they see results. They wake up and they feel refreshed. They have more energy through the day. So let's back up and talk about what circadian alignment is. I feel like this is a pretty big buzzword right now. Everyone's talking about circadian alignment, circadian rhythm, and it's great. So very simply, our body runs on an internal 24-hour clock, okay? This clock regulates our hormones. It's what tells us when to make what hormone and when to have what body system kick into gear. So it's kind of like the work schedule of our body. Now, the beautiful thing about our body is that it was designed to be aligned with the 24-hour clock that is nature, right? So the 24-hour cycle of the day was meant to match up with our 24-hour clock. But the problem is we are completely out of alignment with that clock. Let me give you an example. Have you ever gone to bed and you're exhausted throughout the whole day? You're so tired, like you can't wait to go to bed. And you get into bed and all of a sudden your brain starts racing and you start thinking about all the things you have to do. Your body's exhausted, but you're awake. This tired but wired. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It is one of the main signals that your body clock is out of alignment with nature. I actually have a quiz that I put together that helps you determine your fatigue type, and circadian misalignment is one of the fatigue types. So based on your energy patterns right now, you can find out your fatigue type, and this is going to help you take personalized action. The link is in the description below. Definitely take the quiz when you're done watching this video. Back to circadian misalignment. So the problem happens when we are going about our day and we are actually missing out on very important signals that help communicate to our body what time of day it is, i.e., where in the 24-hour cycle our body needs to be. One of the most important, and I cannot stress this enough, the most important cue that tells our body that it is time to wake up is getting morning light into our eyeballs. And this point, I think, is belabored on social media. I think a lot of people talk about it, but trust me when I tell you, this is so important because when you wake up and you're going about your day, getting ready, and you're going off to work, and you don't take the time to go outside with no technology, no distractions, and open up your eyeballs and get that morning light, you are missing out on such an important signal. The wavelengths of that light that's very, very specific and unique to the morning sun tells your brain through your eyeballs, which are light receptors, to stop making melatonin, to start to raise your cortisol, which is the hormone that helps you wake up and feel alert. It raises cortisol. And then most beautiful thing is that timing then sets off a cascade where 12 to 14 hours later, your body knows it's time to make melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that makes us feel sleepy and makes us want to go to bed. And so a lot of times when we miss this morning light cue, our body doesn't really know it's morning. Sure, we're drinking coffee and the sun is out, but we haven't taken a moment to tell our body this directly. And you can do it so easily. This is what I do. I wake up, I brush my teeth, I wash my face, and I go outside, okay? It doesn't even matter if it's cloudy. It's still going to signal to your body the time of day. Now, if it's raining, obviously this is a little trickier. You can open up a window. You want to make sure that you're getting that light signature at that time when you wake up, before you're eating breakfast. Which brings us to our next point, breakfast. Not a lot of people eat breakfast within 45 minutes to an hour of waking up. This literally tells our body that it's time to wake up. You're giving your body fuel and you're saying, okay, we're getting ready for the day. We need to fill up the gas tank. And it's really important to make sure that you're fueling your body properly. Now, we can get into that in another video, but just know that that is another important cue for your body. But other than morning light, The second most important cue for your circadian rhythm is complete darkness at nighttime. That is so important. Why? Because more times than not, we are on our phones or on some kind of screen way too close to bed. And again, a lot of people talk about this ad nauseum, but it is so important. Why? The light that is emitted from our screens and from our phones is blue light. The blue light from our devices is basically signaling to our eyes that it's daytime. It is similar to the light that we get in the morning in that there's more blue in that morning light. But when we're starting to wind down at night, the last thing we want to do is confuse the body by telling it that it's morning with signals of blue light. So when you're staring at your phone and the blue light is going into your eyeballs, your brain is like, oh, is it morning? Is it time to wake up? And it starts to produce more cortisol, which is why when you go to bed and you lay down and you're exhausted from the day, all of a sudden your brain turns on and it starts thinking about all the things that you have to do because you have not given your body the cues, the signals it needs to know that it is nighttime. You have to tell the body, it is nighttime, it's time to go to bed. And the best way to do this is to get off of your devices within 2 hours of sleep. I know people are like, but that's how I relax. I sit on the couch and I watch a show. There are workarounds. You can wear blue light blocking glasses. You can put a light filter on your computer. The software I use is called Iris. You can download it. You can use it for free. You can put a red light filter on your device. I don't know about television because I don't actually own a television. I'm one of those weirdos. It's mostly my phone. You can put a red light filter on your phone. There are tutorials all over YouTube how to do that. I recommend you do that. But I mostly recommend if you cannot remove the blue light signals completely from before bed, I recommend trying to at least take an hour before bed to have zero stimulation. Because the other thing is, even if we're blocking the blue light with red light filters and we have red light glasses on, you're still stimulating your brain by watching a show or looking at the news or reading your emails, okay? So it's really important that the hour before going to bed, you are genuinely winding down, relaxing. I do the dishes usually at this time, and I find it quite relaxing because I find enjoyment in keeping my home clean. I don't even know, it's decent looking, it's clean. So I will put laundry away. I will sit in bed and relax, and this will change the game for you, I promise. Okay, let's go into the very last thing about how to start truly reclaiming your energy on a foundational level. The next thing has to do with meal timing and the time that we eat our meals throughout the day. And I've already touched on this. It naturally just kind of slipped in. But the times of day that we eat are also cues to tell our body what we are looking to accomplish with our energy. So number one, eating within an hour of waking up, 45 minutes if you can make that happen, is key. This is going to not only be really great for your metabolism, but it is going to give your body the cue that it's morning and it is time to wake up. And it's too frequently that I start working with clients and the first thing they tell me is they haven't eaten breakfast in years. They usually make coffee and then they drop the kids off at school or run errands and grab something quick at the coffee shop or have an early lunch and they wonder why they're tired all the time. Having your breakfast before your caffeine is also going to be so important. As I had explained before, our cortisol is highest in the morning. We want this. Cortisol is what wakes us up in the morning. But what happens when our cortisol is the highest and we go and we drink that delicious cup of coffee on an empty stomach, you're basically adding gasoline to the fire because coffee is a stimulant. It's naturally going to raise our cortisol even higher. So what happens is that now we're just running on pure stress hormones throughout the day, and we wonder why we're crashing in the middle of the afternoon. That is the reason. So I love coffee. I'm not telling you to cut out coffee like all the other videos are telling you to drink less coffee and stop drinking coffee. All I'm telling you is to enjoy your coffee after you have nourished your body, after you have given it real fuel. And then when you have your coffee, you'll still get the benefits, you'll still enjoy it, but it won't tank your energy by crashing your blood sugar, okay? Having a proper breakfast in the morning is going to help stabilize your energy, stabilize your blood sugar, and your coffee is not going to be an issue. The second point I want to talk about is the timing of your dinner is very important. Why? Because digestion takes a lot of energy. So what happens is a lot of people eat their dinner very late in the evening. They go to bed within an hour or two of eating dinner. The reason why this is problematic, sleep actually requires a lot of energy. When we sleep, this is when our body is doing all of the cellular regeneration, tissue repair, detoxification. All of this takes energy. But what happens when we eat too close to bed is that our body has to use its finite amount of energy and resources to focus on digesting our food instead of doing all of the wonderful things that it needs to do while we sleep. So if we just move that dinner up an hour, 2 hours early, the sweet spot I have found has been 3 hours before bed. Now you're going to want to figure out what works best for you. I go to bed really early, say around 9 o'clock is when I get into bed, or just before that. I'm usually asleep by 9:30. I eat my dinner around 6:30. So that gives me 3 hours to digest my food so that when I go to bed, I have enough energy and resources to focus on detoxification, cellular regeneration. And this is really going to help with waking up and feeling clear. I know a lot of people who wake up and they feel foggy and they have a lot of brain fog and it takes them a couple cups of coffee to feel human again. I know that feeling so well, and that can have a lot to do with your body not being able to properly detox and clear out waste while you sleep because you are too busy digesting your food. So even though this sounds like a really easy and simple thing to do, I really, really encourage you guys to pick one of these things to focus on. Focus on where your mental energy is being drained and try and start to put boundaries around that. Try and find ways that you can give yourself micro breaks throughout the day and open up some of that mental energy to figure out how you can start to align your body, your circadian rhythm with that of nature. First light in the morning in your eyeballs, or complete darkness at nighttime. And lastly, really pay attention to the timing of your meals, eating within an hour of waking up, and eating 2 or 3 hours before bed is really going to take some of that stress off your body, allowing it to focus on the really important things it needs to do while you're sleeping so that you can wake up feeling actually refreshed and not feeling so groggy. Really quick, I would be a terrible coach if I did not point out this very important discrepancy because I am recommending that you guys eat 3 hours before bed. If you are that person that wakes up in the middle of the night and you're hungry or you're irritable or you can't go to bed, this is a sign that you have blood sugar instability and you would actually benefit from having a small snack right before bed. It is important to know that this is a compensatory strategy. And as you dig deeper and really work on the foundations of your metabolism, stabilizing your blood sugar with lifestyle and dietary interventions, and really working on your fatigue, you will no longer need this. But it is important to know that if your sleep is getting worse by implementing that one piece of advice, that is why. And it is really important that if you do opt for a snack before bed, that it is high quality, protein centric. We're talking whole foods, a piece of Parmesan cheese, a couple olives, maybe a spoonful of peanut butter. We're not talking about a bowl of cereal. We're not talking about a couple chips or a couple strawberries. We want it to be protein centric or fat centric or both. Okay? I hope that's helpful. So I really hope that this video has blessed you with something. I really didn't want to add to the extra noise that's out there and give you real things that you can start to implement today to help get your energy back. And to remind you, I have a really amazing fatigue type quiz. I put the link in the description below. It takes 5 minutes. This quiz is going to give you the exact starting point that's personalized to you for where to focus on regaining your energy in a real way. Okay, thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next video.